Welcome back to Music Kingdom. In this video we are listening to and reviewing a previously unheard, unreleased demo by Michael Jackson. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, let's briefly talk some context about the demo we are listening to today. For those of you who might be unaware, Michael Jackson was a textbook perfectionist, and over the course of his career, he would record tons and tons and tons of demos, well over 100 demos for each album he would release, and then he would narrow down those hundreds of demos down to maybe 10 to 15, and then from there he would choose what would make the final cut of the album, which by the time of his passing would eventually become this massive vault of unreleased work throughout his life. Now just recently, at least as of the making of this video, the Michael Jackson estate released Thriller 40, an album celebrating 40 years of the biggest selling album in the history of mankind, which is Thriller. On this album, there are different little treats and goodies for fans, such as unreleased demos and different mixes of the songs from Thriller. Now, the reason I use air quotes around unreleased is because a number of these demos the fans already know exist. I mean, some of them have been on YouTube for like over a decade. But of course, the estate's like, yeah, aren't we great? Don't you want these, huh? Now, with that said, in defense of Michael Jackson's estate, which I hate to do because I have thoughts and opinions about the estate, there are some totally unheard demos that have recently been released. Among those truly unheard demos, I chose my favorite of the bunch for this video, which is called Who Do You Know? Now it goes without saying, but I will make it clear anyway, any demo that is on this album was specifically recorded for the album Thriller, but was instead shelved and put to the side and did not make the final cut. So for what it's worth, if any of you are new to this kind of world of Michael Jackson demos, none of these are gonna be recorded for Off the Wall, none of them are gonna be recorded for the Dangerous album, so on and so forth. Now earlier I mentioned my harsh opinions and perspectives and stances regarding the Michael Jackson estate, but I'm assuming most of you who clicked on this video did not click on this video just to hear me talk, and if you did, thank you. Most of you clicked on this video to listen to the song. So with that being said, while I am inclined to get on my soapbox and rant about the Michael Jackson estate, I'm deciding to do that after we give the song a listen. Of course, I will give my thoughts about the song, because that's what this video is about, but if you do feel inclined to hear me just absolutely bitch about the estate, stay tuned for after the song, and for now, let's give it a listen and enjoy, because if you are a Michael Jackson fan, you've heard everything, right? If you are one of those diehards. So to hear something by Michael Jackson that is new to your ears, it's not new, it's like 40 years old, but new to your ears might as well be crack. So let's enjoy some crack. You can hear the little beatboxing in the background. It's just so good to hear his voice.
Tell me, who do you know?
Ooh, strings.
Who do you know? Who do you know?
Ooh, and the horns.
Who do you know? She was only playing
His harmonies, man.
with this guy that you notice is on. She was missing
With it being a demo, you can absolutely
loving this guy.
feel how basic it is and kind of raw.
You this old man.
I feel like he would have done more to produce it in the end.
Up and let me. What in all the blood? Can you tell me which way did she go? Or tell me, who do you know? Oh, who do you know? I lost my baby. Who do you know?
Oh, man.
Who do you know? Oh.
Amazing. So simple and so amazing. Strange Stranger in Moscow whistle.
She said that she was leaving on the midnight train.
Midnight Train to Georgia reference.
Noticed that she wasn't dreaming. Ooh. Said that she was grieving. Ooh, and only noticed for that message in his mind. Alright, but I'm only human too. Human too. I lost my baby 2 years ago.
Of course.
Can you tell me which way did she go? Oh, tell me, who do you know?
The strings make such a difference.
And
the horns.
I lost my baby. Who do you know? Who do you know? Can you tell me which
Just
way
melts you.
go? Who do you know? Who do you know? I lost my baby. Who do you know?
Ad-libs too.
Who do you know? I gotta find her. Who do you know? Yeah.
And that guitar returning too. It's a little things.
Which time? Who do you know? Who do you know? Can you tell me which way they go?
Wow. Alright, before I get to my rant about the Michael Jackson estate, let's first unpack what we just listened to. Is it a bit raw still? In my opinion, yes. But you could tell it wasn't like the earliest of rough demos where a lot of the lyrics were gibberish or, you know, just kind of a raw instrumental track. This one did have some layers already with the strings, with the horns, with the guitar. So it was, albeit unfinished, it was still very polished. And I adore, as with most Michael Jackson songs, it gets better and better and better and better. It starts pretty simple, it ends still pretty simple, but it gets a bit more sophisticated. The layers get a bit stronger so that by the time it gets to the final chorus, then you just let it repeat for the last 30 seconds or the last minute, just over and over. And he's doing his ad-libs and they throw in, it's just... Now part of me wonders if the demo was a bit inspired or influenced by a song by the band Chicago. Yeah, there it is. Chicago's a band from the late 60s, early 70s and on, and they have a song called Just You and Me from the 70s. And it goes, just you and me, bang, bang, simple and free, bang. You know, like it's almost identical. And Michael being well versed in music, while I wouldn't accuse him of copying anything, maybe that somewhere influenced it, or it's just a happy coincidence. But if you like this song, I encourage you to check out Just You and Me. There was also a little line, leaving on a midnight train, which might be a direct homage or tipping of the hat to Gladys Knight and the Pips' Midnight Train to Georgia. Michael's Motown, Gladys and the Pips' Motown. During the bridge of the song, there was that little whistle, which was almost identical to the whistle you hear in Stranger in Moscow, a song that was created about 11 years later and a song that was released, of course, about 12 years later. Other than that, exquisite harmonies, which in my opinion are what make the song. He says in the chorus, who do you know, 4 times. The first 2 times, no harmonies. The last 2 times, hella harmonies. And honestly, I mean, it is a song, while still a demo, that is near completion. I am curious to hear how he would have finalized it, how he would have finished it in terms of production, kind of mastering it and mixing it the way that he would want to do, or of course at that time, him and Quincy. But for what it is, a gorgeous, gorgeous song, and it's aged well. That's another thing. Of the unheard, unreleased demos that were on the Thriller 40 album, I chose this one as my favorite. Obviously because it's, in my opinion, the most beautiful, but also because a number of the other demos were very dated. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because we love songs of the 70s that sound like the 70s. A lot of us love the sounds of the 80s. I'm not too high on the 80s necessarily, but a lot of these demos, because they're demos and weren't really finished with production, are using these synth loops and synth sounds that are very like like Pac-Man arcade sounding, you know, where they might not hold up as well if you're listening to them today. And this song, probably because it's so raw and basic, pretty simple in terms of how it is produced, I mean, it's really just Michael's voice and harmonies and different little layers here and there that make it just so pristine. Lastly, while still on the subject of Who Do You Know, before I get on my soapbox and rant about the estate, I am personally partial to Michael's voice in the 90s. I love how it continued to evolve and mature, how he got some more power and grit in it, and he could deliver songs like Earth Song or Keep the Faith or Slave to the Rhythm or They Don't Care About Us. I will say, this song is perfect for this era of his voice. Michael's voice in the eras of Off the Wall and Thriller was so smooth and silky before he really kind of found that Dirty Diana rock sound to his voice. And I don't mean to insinuate by any means that I dislike his voice in any other era. Of course not. Michael Jackson had a voice from the heavens from basically when he was born. But yeah, just a little thought. So those are my thoughts about the demo. Those are my thoughts about Who Do You Know. Love the song, and because it's a demo, we're not really grading it as we like to do with songs on this channel. We're just kind of listening to it, talking it out, that kind of thing. Now with that aside, if you've made it this far, it is time to talk about the estate. So many things to say, so many avenues I could go. Let's start with how they are almost too obsessed with Michael Jackson's work from the 80s. Yes, his 80s work is amazing. Yes, his 80s work is the most popular. Yes, his 80s work is the most iconic and influential. I do not deny it. I adore his 80s work, do not get me wrong. But it seems to me that that is really all the estate cares about. And what I mean by that is, for example, the 25th anniversary of the album Bad came out. And with that was an album called Bad 25, an album similar to Thriller 40 that had various demos and unreleased work, one of them being a song called I'm So Blue, which in my opinion is very similar to Who Do You Know? And with that album came out a documentary loaded with celebrities talking about the making of the album Bad. And then the 25th anniversary of Dangerous comes and goes and nothing happens. The 25th anniversary of the History album came and went and nothing happens. So why is that? And there could be a number of theories or explanations, one of which is that the estate are businessmen. You know, you just picture guys in suits who care about the bottom line and profit and making dollars and stuff like that. And maybe their logic is, well, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad are the most popular, so we can make the most money from them. They sold the most, that kind of thing. But Dangerous and History in the 90s, while they didn't hit the levels of Thriller or Bad, they still blew everyone else out of the water. In their heads, maybe their logic is there were just more hits, more bangers from the 80s, but there were still plenty of those in the 90s. With that was a lot of more mature stuff with depth, and his voice was different, and his lyrical subject matter was different, and his beats and his productions became even more sophisticated. And if I was the estate, I would want to shine light on that. I would want to bring more awareness to that, because there probably are tons of people who do not really know that Michael's 90s work is as good or that it even exists. So if I'm the estate and I want to make money, why not endorse or promote the lesser known stuff and introduce it to new generations of fans if I'm trying to make money and do it that way? All right, another theory as to why the estate is just so obsessed with his 80s work, and this is a theory, it could be controversy. And if you are a businessman and you care about the dollars and all this, controversy, unless you're the media, is bad for business. So maybe if I'm putting myself in their shoes, even though it's super messed up and I disagree with it, maybe they think, well, Michael around the time of Dangerous and History was going through major controversy and we want to keep his image squeaky clean on our end for business reasons. Let's not draw attention to the controversy, even though the controversy was basically Michael Jackson getting extorted by greedy opportunist families. So I can maybe see that side of it, how they might not want to go there for business reasons and reputation reasons. Another theory, and the only really other theory I can think of regarding why they would choose to only focus on his 80s work, is maybe the color of his skin. That would also be super messed up, because Michael Jackson, from when he was born to when he died, was still a black man. Having vitiligo does not change the fact that you are black, but maybe they don't want to promote the stuff where he looked different or he looked weird or he looked white. Maybe they think that's bad for business. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but I'm just trying to pick my brain. You know, I love the 80s stuff, but damn, it's like they just pretend the rest doesn't exist. Moving on from that, another bone to pick with the estate is if they're trying to make money, because that's the thing. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. If you're trying to make money, what do? You please the fans, and they rarely, if ever, successfully do that. They rarely, if ever, actually give the fans what they want. For example, the estates of John Lennon, the estates of Prince, the estates of David Bowie are pretty good estates of handling posthumous projects and releases and fan service, right? As ways to make money. And you can do that. You can make tons of money and honor the fans. But what that looks like with the Michael Jackson estate is like, hey, big announcement coming up, fans, are you ready? Are you ready? And everybody's like, oh my God, is it a remastered concert? Is it a new album of unreleased work? Like, what's it gonna be? No. We are gonna release This Is It on Blu-ray. Or, you ready for the big news? You ready? You can now buy new merchandise on the Michael Jackson website. Shit like that, that's just like a slap to the face of fans. And don't get me wrong, I know they've released posthumous albums of unreleased work, but the first of which was the album titled Michael, and most of those tracks were butchered and produced terribly and edited, and there's controversy around that because a lot of people speculate that a number of those tracks didn't even have Michael Jackson's real vocals. Like, they got some imposter to fake it. Like, that is so... How do you fuck up that badly? And yes, in 2014, they released Escape, which is this album where if you bought the more expensive version, you'd get Michael's untouched demos, but it was otherwise a lot of these songs that were remastered by people who Michael didn't even know, who didn't even work with him, who didn't even know what he would have wanted or what direction he wanted to take it. Although, having said that, I would say that's probably the best thing they've given us since, because at least it had, like, what is it, 6, 7, or 8 original demos. And then other things like, here, we're gonna give you an album themed for Halloween with Thriller on it and a few other songs that kind of sound spooky. We're gonna mash them up and sell it to you. And now, of course, with Thriller 40 wanting to honor the biggest selling album again, I am grateful they gave us some demos and stuff like that. But for example, what were they doing to promote it? Well, they remastered Beat It and Thriller, the short films, in like 4K HD. And that was it. It's like they're not gonna do that for anything on Bad, Dangerous, or History, or I guess Off the Wall for that matter. But it shows us that they're easily able to do that. But they're picking and choosing which ones they do. I mean, it makes no sense to me. As of today, there are 2 concerts officially that you can purchase or own through the estate. Like, you know, you're not gonna just find on YouTube. It's Michael 92 in Bucharest on the Dangerous Tour, and it's Michael at Wembley during the Bad Tour. And both of those are like 480p quality. And if you want to see any other concert from any tour, you have to go on YouTube and find them amateurly put together. And it's, if you want to make money, that's the thing. If you want to make an absolute fortune, remaster some of his concerts or get concert footage that doesn't exist on the internet yet. Or at least remaster in 4K the rest of his short films. And that's also what makes this so funny, is because for Thriller 40, yes, the song we listened to in this video, Who Do You Know, and a number of others were genuinely unheard, and I am grateful for that, do not get me wrong. But even still, like, half of them were demos that most of us already know. And it's like they just thought they were doing us such a big favor by officially releasing them. So it's just kind of laughable. And I know that they're making a biopic coming soon, you know, like a kind of Bohemian Rhapsody style film about Michael Jackson, but how deep is that really gonna be? I mean, it's probably gonna be 2 hours of his biggest hits, and they're gonna get some actor who's not gonna do it. Well, they're gonna give it their best, but they're not gonna portray Michael. It's impossible to portray Michael Jackson. And that's probably not gonna touch on any controversy. It's probably gonna just be this kind of surface level celebration of Michael's career. So like, I'm grateful for that at least, but I mean, even the estate has said we're gonna do it in a way to preserve his reputation. And I appreciate that, but why not be more real about it? Like, you could release a 10-part docu-series on the life of Michael Jackson, his highs and lows, talking about who he was, his character, his spirituality, his intellect, you know, stuff like that. Nah, they're just gonna, you know, give us a movie where Thriller's playing every 20 minutes. But otherwise, I will stop myself before this turns into an hour-long video. I do appreciate Who Do You Know, the demo we listened to today. As mentioned earlier in the video, it is so nice, if you've heard everything possible by Michael Jackson, to actually hear something new. I mean, it's a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's very exciting, and I'm happy that I'm able to share it with you guys. As always, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with me. Let me know your thoughts on the demo, and please let me know your thoughts on the Michael Jackson estate. And as mentioned, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening to the demo with me and for listening to me absolutely bitch and moan about the estate. But otherwise, I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.